Say hello, everyone, and welcome to our pre-catalyst meditation talk. Um, our subject today is on time, and I may be. Um, there are times when I feel like I'm the only one that feels that time is accelerating, and that weeks are going by like days used to. And that this is not just subjective, it's not just I'm feeling that or I'm getting anxious nowadays. It's that that there is a change in the quality of time. And so when I came across Sylvia Sorodaya, and please excuse me for butchering your name. When I came across her video recently around the quality of time and that things are accelerating and we're accelerating around it, um, I decided it's time for us to pay attention to this for a number of different reasons. Um, Reason number one is, oh, and by the way, in the outline, I sent you a link to her video where she's talking about time. Um, I should have had it ready to put in our chat here, but I didn't. And so I will, if I can squeeze that in sometime during our recording here, I will do so. But we've got a couple of things that prompt us to be thinking about this today, right now. Um, one is one is we can misinterpret what all this means. A lot of people think I'm just becoming anxious because these days are so there's so many things going on, and there's so much confusion in the world, and I'm feeling the confusion. It just feels like things are speeding up, and that is not it. Okay. I think it's important for you to not stress yourself out because something is happening that we could predict happening. Okay. And could we predict happening? I did. It's right in the book. It's in Birthing the Nation of Gaia. And it's on the pages where I talk about the five latent powers. And this is one of the latent powers, and it is kicking in. I'll talk more about that in a minute. No, in about 5 minutes. Um, so, so as time gets fluid, first of all, and as time gets um, uh, faster, second of all, um, accept that, accept that it's happening, and you will be happier. Okay, this is not something, or this is not something that standard scientists are going to be able to pick up on anytime in the near future. Okay. Um, we're talking about a power that is outside of the range of what standard scientists believe are things that can happen to people. Um, the standard model, that's what they call it, um, accepts gravity, electromagnetism, the strong and the weak nuclear force, and that's it. There's nothing else. And all that other stuff that's happening all around you is just your imagination. And I think that we are the pioneers. We are on the forefront of thinking about our world differently. I'm sorry, not just thinking about it, experiencing the world differently. Why is any of this important? Because the tools that we need to change our world, some of those tools are coming through in this other realm. Some of the tools are coming through in a from directions that we have not had experience with for a very long time. Okay. So human beings have experience with it. Take a deep breath. This is part of the realm of being human. Um, and there's lots of folks that want to attribute it to space aliens or astral forces and all this other stuff. It's like, yes, but we can do this. Yeah, we can do this. This is another take a deep breath and relax moment. So if we can um, have the experience of additional sets of powers that will um, uh, help us navigate the times that we are facing now, that we're now facing, that it's not going to happen in the near future. It's not going to happen one of these days. This day right here is one of these days. It's happening right now. Now, what is your role in helping facilitate that happening or holding it back? Or pulling your coat over your head and wishing and hoping for the best and trying to opt out of dealing with it. Um, one of the things that we have information on is that the keepers, that's what we call the native people, the indigenous people, the people who were here 10,000 years ago, who knew how to operate in on this planet, knew that fire had to come through certain areas. They knew the fires had to come through those areas so that it would renew and enliven the life that's there. And they knew to plant the fire holding plants so that when the fire came, it would travel in a channel, a fire channel, and stay away from the areas that didn't need to burn and should not have burned, should not burn because those areas are needed for the kind of life that doesn't need fire. So instead of saying fire bad, stop it, saying, fire is a natural process. Let's move with this fire. Um, as my friend Carl Anthony has said many times, um, when people are experiencing elemental forces, hurricanes, volcanoes, uh, the fires that went through Los Angeles back in January of this year. Um, he said, for example, an earthquake is not a disaster. It's a naturally occurring event. The disaster is putting your house on the fault line. A fire is not a disaster. It's a naturally occurring event. The disaster is putting your house on the fire channel. The volcano is not a disaster. It's a naturally occurring event. The disaster is putting your farm on the slopes of the volcano and then ignoring all the information that you get that the volcano's going to blow, so you need to get off of that land for a bit. We can move with the forces of our society, the move with the forces of the earth, as long as we're not denying and not saying those forces don't exist. So right now, we are experiencing the first of the five latent powers that some of us have been listening to these latent powers for a long time. Okay. Um, but many of us have not had a direct experience of it. I think it's kind of natural that we would deny it. The number of people who are saying right now that that their experience of time is speeding up are getting to the point where we can't deny this any longer. So therefore, it's time for us to pay attention not only to time, but to the other things that I wrote 3 or 4 years ago that are going to be speeding up now and going to become obvious now. And how do we work with this? How do we, first of all, how do we stop being in denial around this? The universe needs us to be um, calm, um, knowledgeable, um, able to help other people understand what happens next. Um, and that is part of our role here right now. For us, for those of us who at least think we're paying attention. Um, I watch I number one, I don't watch broadcast television. I don't have any cable service. Um, if sometimes if you go to a restaurant and you cannot avoid um, the televisions that are blaring. There's a restaurant near me that advertises 10 big screen televisions. I'm like, okay, stay away from that one. I like digesting my food. Um, and um, uh, but there are times when I am on the internet or I'm looking at YouTube videos, and some of them are on subjects that I find interesting. But if they're being projected to me with the, oh my God, the world's coming to an end, and the title page shows people running and asteroids crashing and things like that, stay away from that one. Um, that you can get that information without getting all of the fear generation and the hype, etc. The fear generation and the hype is your choice. You don't have to do that one. Okay. So, um, your part of your job is to calm down, okay, and to calm other people down. Sometimes you don't have to say a word, okay? All you have to do is be in a situation, hold the calm in your heart, and as other people are freaking out, they'll freak out less and they'll pick up your calm. Okay. The other thing is for you to spend some time knowing what we are talking about. Um, the in I wrote it in creating a world of, I'm sorry, in birthing the nation of Gaia. There are several indexes and I'm sorry, appendices, and one of the appendices is on the five latent powers. What are the five latent powers? Well, there are I've done a couple of videos on them. I actually did a fairly long workshop on one. Um, Before we're done here today, I will try to put those up on the in the chat box so that you can have access to them. Um, but I'm going to talk about the five latent powers right now. Um, I learned about the five latent powers in a cave that was an abandoned Buddhist temple in the Himalayas at the 15,000 foot level. Not a whole lot of oxygen up there. And um, got a major download, got a major revelation. And for those who say, well, who was the revelation from? Was it from the Buddha? Was it from Jesus? Was it from the yak that lived next door? There were no people up there either. The nearest person to me at that moment was about 10 miles away, and they didn't speak English. Um, and Great place to get a revelation. Um, the thing that I learned while I was there was that all the things I'm about to tell you are latent inside of us. These powers are here. It's just that I, as an individual, can't access them. We as collectives, we as the holonic community, and holonic is a word I've used a lot. We'll talk about that some more. Um, it's beyond the collective. Um, we've got all the machinery in our hearts and minds and guts to bring out these powers, but we have to link our hearts and minds and guts together to access it. It's not accessible by an individual. Now, um, uh, how many of us does it take to access that? Number one, I don't know. Number two, I'm not sure anybody knows. Number three, let's find out. Okay. So let me tell you about the five latent powers. Um, these dormant energies that the times are calling for us to awaken right now. Um, Number one is global consciousness and global knowing that we can have access to all of the information of our that exists in our universe. We can access it. Um, But again, now there are people who say, oh, yes, those are the Akashic records. I'm not putting a label on them because that label could limit our ability to access it. We can just know whatever we need to know. And that knowing is not owned by any person, any being. It's all there. The second is what I call spatial powers. Um, we can go from one place to another without any intervening movement. Um, we can move either at great speed or we can move without any time differential. Okay. Um, Navigation, which is what the Polynesian navigators used to go from one island to another island in the Pacific, knowing exactly where they were going, not ever having been to the island before, taking only enough food that they needed to get to that island, knowing what they were going to find when they got there, so they knew to take these plants and these animals, etc., with them, and knew all that. plus a lot more that I put in the book. Number three is temporal powers. This is what we're experiencing right now. We're right in it. We can speed up time. We're experiencing sped up time, but we can do more than that. We can actually have the experience of speeding it up ourselves. We can slow down time. We can move outside of the realm of time, and we can move to a completely different narrative. And that's something that we'll talk about at another point in time because I'm running out of minutes right now, before the meditation starts. Um, the fourth of the latent powers are our communication powers, that we can communicate with our uh, ancestors from another time frame. We can communicate with our descendants that may be coming 500 or 1,000 years from now. We can have nonverbal communication with other beings on this plane. We can communicate with transcendent beings, gods, goddesses, avatars, angels, you name them. There's a whole big population of beings out there, and we can talk to them. And we don't need anybody else to talk to them for us. We're going to be busy. Um, and then um, um, the fifth latent power are our bodily powers. Um, this is the one that scientists spend the most time studying, but I actually think is the least important. Um, we can control the aspects of our hearts. We can speed our heart up. We can slow our heart down. There are monks and adepts who can stop their hearts completely. They can do miraculous things. And some of the miraculous things we can do is simply, for example, curing ourselves of a disease, um, helping someone else cure their disease. Um, we can um, we can do things that once we learn how to do this, we can elevate ourselves to a whole new level of consciousness. I think that that's really good. I think that that's something that we should do. Um, it's why I wrote it in the book. But we can't do that by ourselves. We've got to come together. We've got to come together in the dozens, in the hundreds, in the thousands, in the millions. And we will do so by necessity. We need to do this. And we will feel an awful lot better about ourselves and the world when we do it. We need community. We need the communion of human beings. We need the communion of all beings. And we're going to do that. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Thursday morning Catalyst Meditation. Welcome to those who have joined us today. Welcome to those who are on the outline today, and I don't see anyone on the outline today. And welcome to those who have been with us in the past and can't make it today, but they're welcome anyway. Your energy is welcome. We are going to do what we normally do, which is the first thing is centering ourselves. And centering ourselves means we're going to spend about 3 minutes breathing together. And as we're breathing together, we are focusing on ourselves. we're focusing on um, each other, and we're focusing on all beings. And I am going to start our breathing app. So breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, and if we can keep going with a silent centering for another minute or so. And if we can come back to our mutual center, we'll continue with our intentions. As the imaginal cells within the chrysalis come together to form the butterfly out of the disintegrated caterpillar cells, we come together to form a gateway for the meta-consciousness of the mind of Gaia. We act for ourselves personally, and we act as aspects of the universe. The universe is one, is alive, and is conscious. Holonic consciousness is a fundamental aspect of the universe. Every atom in the universe holds consciousness. It is always with us. We're acknowledging this now because many humans have forgotten and many humans have been in denial. We have to reawaken our connection to Mother Earth for the benefit of all living beings. And we acknowledge our connection to all beings. Our oneness includes all humans, including those who have gone before and those who are to come. We are one with all beings who thrive on and in the air. We are one with all beings who thrive on and in the water. We are one with all beings who thrive on and in the earth. We are one with all beings who thrive on and in our bodies. We are one with all beings that thrive on light, the beings of the plant realms. We are one with all meta-beings, including the earth as a living meta-being, air as a living meta-being, fire as a living meta-being, water as a living meta-being. We are one with all colony beings, meta-beings that are collections of solo beings, and that includes murmurations, colonies, schools, hives, pods, flocks, herds, migrations, harmonies, swarms, and other forms of colony beings. We especially acknowledge and honor those beings who are partnered and bound with us, including those beings we rely upon for food, for security, for assistance, and for love and companionship, and those beings who rely on us for the same. And we acknowledge all other forms of consciousness, known and unknown to us. Having acknowledged all beings, we blend all of our energies. May all who are part of Mother Earth be connected to and in perfect health, harmony, and balance with each other and with Gaia for the common good. We are in perfect physical health, harmony, and balance. We are in perfect emotional health, harmony, and balance. We are in perfect relational health, harmony, and balance. We are in perfect mental health, harmony, and balance. We are in perfect spiritual health, harmony, and balance. We are in perfect holonic health, harmony, and balance. We are in perfect spatial and temporal health, harmony, and balance. We are in the perfect place, at the perfect time, in the perfect conditions, and with the perfect beings. We set and we energize our declarations. We declare that the universe is one, is alive, and is conscious. We declare that holonic consciousness is a fundamental aspect of the universe. We declare that the earth and all earth beings are one. Together we form a meta-consciousness. We declare that all humans are one. One family, one species, one destiny. Separations are illusory. We awaken human consciousness from all illusions of separation. We declare that humans are colony beings. We deepen and expand our human murmurations, our human harmonies. We declare that Mother Earth is the ultimate governing principle, the way that humans govern their behavior on this planet, replacing all other forms of human governance. This is the way our behavior aligns with the will of the Earth. We declare that Mother Earth is providing all necessary resources to achieve the vision of a world that works for all living beings. We declare that we are creating a political and economic system where all beings participate in it, all beings are in relationship with it, all beings own it, all beings benefit from it, and all beings govern it for the common good. So now we'll meditate within this holonic energy. We'll meditate within the energy of Mother Earth. While we're meditating, we'll be listening for any messages that we may receive that we can bring back to others. We'll be making any personal requests that we may have. And we'll be deepening and expanding our human experience of our human murmurations, our human harmonies. We'll go about 8 to 10 minutes, and we'll start now. And if we can come back to our common center, we'll conclude with our inclusivity mantra. May I be well. May I be secure. May I be happy. May you be well. May you be secure. May you be happy. May we be well. May we be secure. May we be happy. And may all beings be well. May all beings be secure. May all beings be happy. And so it is, and so it shall be. And thank you for attending. I see that Esther has put some stuff in the our chat box. Well, actually, and Jenna has also. Um, Jenna said, time is definitely speeding up. It seems time is accelerating, but not my actions. As it as in how did it just take 3 minutes to do something? That is that if you looked at Sylvia's video that I put in the flyer, um, she's been saying this, she's saying that, and not just in terms of 3 minutes, but 3 hours, 3 days. It time is just fluid. We are now in this middle of November, and I realized just the other day I didn't even move my calendar from October. It's like it's there, it's happening too quickly now. I it feels like I look at a month for like once or twice and then flip it to the next month. Um, it's like having a calendar of hours, like boom, boom, boom. So, um, but as I said earlier, we can get a handle on that. Um, and Jenna has a question. I'm trying to read without glasses on. Um, if time is moving faster, does faster time mean the Earth, cosmos, sun is also moving faster as our human clocks are still tracking with the sun? I think the answer to that is no. I think that there's a disconnect between us tracking our circadian rhythms and these other rhythms that are coming up. This is why, okay, see you. Some people have to go to work. Okay. The um, this is why for the last year or two, y'all have heard me say I'm up at 2 a.m. working, and then uh, at 11 a.m., after I get my work done here, after I process the video, etc., I go back to bed. Um, and then I get up again. And then I go back down again. And I can't figure it out. And it's interesting that I I can't show you because there's nobody on the outline right now. On the Catalyst meditation outline, which I will show you because it's just punched up right now. So this is what I read to make sure that I'm saying the same thing each time. Same thing, same way each time. Um, so this is what I'm reading. And in this box right here, if there's anybody else looking at this, now all of you can get it. Most of you have it. And if you sign on the same time I'm signed on, I see an icon right here that'll say the person's name, but that we didn't start this with names. So it'll say an animal. It'll say anonymous iguana or anonymous giraffe or anonymous such and such. And there's a little circle with a little squiggle that looks nothing like a giraffe. Okay. And so uh, it's 2 o'clock in the morning and I am closing down my computer and an anonymous panda shows up on that screen, which means that somebody at my 2 a.m. is accessing the Catalyst meditation and they stay on the line for about 5 minutes, which means they're actually reading it. It's not like, I opened up this weird window and let me close it real quick. Um, so I don't know. um, I don't know. That could be someone in my time zone that's awake at 2 o'clock in the morning with me. There have been times when folks on this call right now have sent me text messages because they can see that I'm awake, and which is really weird. We can get work done. um,
Sharif,
yes, yeah.
um, going back to the first chat message that I posted, the impact it's having on what I'm noticing first of time going faster is concern that I have things I want to accomplish, like the book I'm writing, the website I'm building. And it's like, time is moving so fast. Am I going to run out of time? And I'm not quite sure how to be present with faster time coupled with what it takes to enact or produce something in 3D.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yes, indeed. Um, and I'm going to give you Ilarian's answer first. Since he says it so much, I'm now channeling Ilarian. And then I'm going to give you my answer, which is going to be the same but slightly different. Ilarian would say there's only now. There is no future. There is no past. You you can be alive and you can be living from the heart in this present moment. If you have notions about future moments, um, you can get over it. Okay. Okay. That's my
Yeah.
last moment. Okay. Now, my moment is similar to that. And this is, I feel that this is true. I feel this is true for me. I also feel that this is something that one of my teachers said very early on in my evolution as a spiritual being. And that is once we get clear and once we move away from fear, once we move away from societal constructs, you will know when it's your time to go. I've
Well,
been I've been in several um, life transiting situations. Um, in Sri Lanka, facing down one of the government soldiers, pointing his gun at me, really, really wanting to use it. Um, and knowing that, okay, I could die in the next 10 seconds. Am I okay? And I can, okay, let's let whatever's going to play out is going to play out. I'm not going to be begging, pleading, etc. If this is my time, this is my time. And it wasn't my time. Um, and if we are clear, we'll know that time coming up on us. We're listening to our bodies and all the beings inside of our bodies. We're listening to our environment. We're taking stock at all times. I'll tell you a quick story. I know you want to say something else, but I'll tell you a quick
I
story
do.
on uh, there's the Dalai Lama, and then there's a whole bunch of other lama named lamas, and one of them is the Panchen Lama. He's a, I'll say lower, but not as well known as the Dalai Lama. And he's been in constant meditation for like 10, 15 years or so. Um, and the Dalai Lama went to him and said, you know, it looks like you're getting ready to leave this plane. I need you on this side longer. And the guy says, yeah, I was just planning on leaving in the next couple of weeks. And leaving and doing his work over there. It's just like it's
Mhm.
just more work without a body. Um, and the Dalai Lama says, "Well, I need you over here." And the guy says, "Well, shit. Uh, how long?" And the Dalai Lama says, "Can you stick around another 15 years?" And he says, "Yeah, I'll stick around another 15 years, but you're really pushing it here." Um, And so the guy is still alive. Dalai Lama is still, whatever they're doing on whatever plane they're doing their stuff, they're still doing it. Um, and when we are focused, we can be there also. Um, I don't know how much longer I need, but I know I need a little bit longer. And a little bit can be another year or two. A little bit can be 20 years. It's all fluid and relative. So you were going to say some more.
Uh, yes, that the context of that chat was not about fear of death
Hmm.
or anticipating that. It was more about my sense that what I'm going to be writing about is helpful to transition. And can I bring that into form and share it with enough time, whatever this transition window is? That was my context.
Right. And play that out. If it is helpful to the transition, then it will happen. If it's not necessary for the transition, it won't. So just keep writing.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, like, um, I I think this is really helpful for the transition. I mean, this has got all sorts of good stuff in it. And given the number of people who haven't bought it yet. So don't have 8.9 billion sales yet. So I'm working on it. Okay. Yeah, we're
Only 8.9?
yes, yeah, only 8.9. Yes. And um I know I'm not going to get many sales in North Korea. But yeah, um it's going to happen as it happens. I spent a lot of time, several decades, fretting about time. And I realize as I'm watching, remember I said, right now, the caterpillar we already spun the chrysalis. We're inside the chrysalis of our society. And there are enzymes inside this that are changing every caterpillar cell to goo. And our job is to reorganize the goo into the next civilization. And I would like to have conversations about that, as we are the masters. Put that on your resume. We are the Goo Masters, okay? As we and this is the those of us who know the analogy, um, we are the ones that magnetize the goo into a butterfly. We are the ones that not only make this leftover caterpillar stuff, turn it into all the things that need to fly. Caterpillars don't fly. They have no idea what flying is. And then all of a sudden, poof, flying beings happen. We're the ones that do the poof. The only thing that we can work with, though, is goo. We can't change a caterpillar. We need the enzymes that I call the transformative, universal, metamorphic pathogens, or Trump. We need that enzyme in order to turn the institutions of our caterpillar into goo. He's doing an excellent job. He's doing his part, and we need to be doing ours. And um, I spend somewhere like 99% of my time focused on that.
Yeah.
I need folks who are willing to spend 10% of their time with me doing that. Okay, so that means us here have to jack it up a bit, and we need a few 100,000 more. Okay, so we'll work on it. We're working on it. Um, there's another comment here, Esther. Time is at. Oh, uh, I'm, I'm gonna challenge you. I want you to say that. I want you to turn on and say that. But I want you to say that to me as though I'm 5 years old.
Okay. The very fact that I can look at 5 minutes and think that it's gone by like that,
Mm-hmm.
and you can look at that 5 minutes and think that it's taking forever
Mm-hmm.
to pass by, means that the perception of time is subjective.
No.
And the only, in your mind and in my mind, okay, the time, the actual sequence of events that occurred within that time fragment, if you will, occurred as it did, without any effect from either one of us. Or maybe, well, that's the thing. You look at certain details that give you information about your story. I look at details that give me information about my story. And your information took a lot longer in your mind, in your perception as a 5-year-old. And in my mind, I'm looking at all these events as the adult in this scenario that you set up. And I see so many more details that like how do I get this child to see this particular concept, for example. And so I'm thinking about a whole lot more things. And so as I'm trying to accomplish all these goals, the time just seems to whip right by because
This is what you are saying is our standard model for time. That time is objective. I'm not wearing my watch right now, but you can look at my wrist where I had a watch on. And that is the real time. And that the fact that I think that it went by faster, or the time that you think it went by slower, is something that's inside of me.
conscious. It's
Okay.
your consciousness, my consciousness and your consciousness. And I think
Wait,
that time,
before you go further,
well, I just want to clarify, I think time is subjective.
I know that's so when I say the time went by faster, the time went by slower, you think that that is subjective, and that the real time is the time on the device.
No, I don't. That's subjective also.
Now we're getting closer to what I am saying. Um, all of it is subjective. Now,
Yeah.
um, um, what I am saying, and what Rupert Sheldrake would create an experiment to test, is
I like him.
whether these experiences of time are subjective, or whether the experiences of time are all the same. It's just that we don't have a way of determining that. And so he would, and actually, yeah, I could create a Sheldrakean experiment around that would start looking at, are we all having the same experience of time? Now, remember, for those of you who were on the daily call when we were talking about this, and for those of you who weren't, you won't remember because you haven't heard it yet. This happened some years ago. Um, there's an experiment in telepathy that was done in an English um, uh, high school. And they had the standard Rhine cards, the star, the circle, the squiggly lines, the triangle, etc. And the teacher would hold up the cards. I don't have anything that's not written on in the back. Hold up a card so he can see it, and the students are supposed to read his mind and guess what was being held up. And he went through the deck and then looked at their scores, and they were all over the place. And so that is proof, and that is used as proof that telepathy doesn't exist, or at least doesn't exist in that room. He noticed something, and the thing that he noticed was not that that when he held the star up, that people were saying circle. It's just that all of them said circle. Okay. Um, and when he held up a square, and they said star, all of them said star. So
Interesting.
he then looked across the room. Forget the cards he was holding up. He looked across the room, and they were completely correlated with each other. And then he said, well, what are they correlating on? So he looked at the deck and looked at their scores, their very coherent scores, and realized that they were guessing the card 5 cards down, something he hadn't even seen yet. They were 5 cards in the future, okay? And they were guessing highly accurately 5 cards in the future. So they weren't correlating with what he was holding up. What he was holding up was completely irrelevant, okay? And that's pretty darn freaky, okay? And I if he hadn't taken that extra step, though, you
Mhm.
would recognize that that their answers were not subjective. They were answering correctly, and he didn't have a mechanism to test it.
They were subjective observances of a phenomenon that they all shared a perception of at the same time, but it was all subjective.
I don't um
I mean, I think that the only way time can be objective is if you can transcend all the planets in motion and get to the absolute reality. That's the only place that time could be possibly objective. And then it's infinite.
I'm not sure how you are. Well, I'm sure that you and I are not using the words objective and subjective the same.
I
Uh,
think you're
let
right about
me give,
that.
let me give you um, one other issue, and then I'm going to see if there are other folks that want to say something here, because we could keep going on this. Um,
I I would suggest
but hang on, let me give this other issue, and this is I think very important. Um, the idea of what we call reality is a shared experience, okay? That we can share a common experience. I can tell you what this experience is. So, over my shoulder, I'm pointing right now to my candle, and um, it it's fuzzy. You may not recognize it was a candle, but you see a white thingy with a black thingy in it. Like, okay, so we're all having that as an experience. If you say, I see a pink elephant walking through your room, you see the pink elephant walking through my room. I don't see it, and I'm here, and nobody else is seeing it on their screens. So you are having a subjective experience. Okay. Now, when I am in an ayahuasca ceremony, and this has happened before, um, I will, let's say there are 20 people in the ceremony, sitting in a circle, and at a given point in the ceremony, there are 20 people and one vulture sitting in the ceremony, participating in the ceremony. I can see the vulture. Everybody else can see the vulture. Um, I can tell you where in the circle the vulture is sitting. The vulture sitting between Jane and Joe. And everybody else says, yeah, I see a vulture and the vulture sitting between Jane and Joe. Now, that's impossible. According to scientific principles, vultures don't pop in and out of existence. Um, you are having a hallucination. But if I'm having a hallucination and all 20 of us seeing the same exact hallucination, is it a hallucination? Okay, that's that. Now, Jenna, I put on hold, and so that this doesn't become the Esther and Jenna show. Anybody else that has something that they want to say, they should be raising hands and doing stuff like that. Becky, we're going to get Jenna first, and then we're going to get Becky, and then anybody else who wants to do something.
I'm making food in the background. I have a meeting coming up.
She thinks
I'm not
she's
sure.
in the background. I don't see any food. I don't smell any food. So it's a subjective experience for her. Yes. I apologize for that.
I'm not sure where this fits into this conversation, but when I heard the story, which is very intriguing, my response was that they were all sharing a consciousness.
Yes.
They were responding from a shared consciousness.
No, I remember I said which story, but that's true
Of,
in both stories.
of the students.
Yeah.
And that they were all accurate, even though they were 5 cards ahead.
Yep.
That's my.
The same thing is true with regard to the vulture. You know, we were sharing a consciousness. That's not possible in classical consciousness theory. Take my word for it. I had to study this stuff. I had to study it wrong in order to get my degree. Yeah, this is all what we're doing. We can share our consciousness, and we do it all the time. And we are told that the experience is invalid, and it is not invalid. It is right on the case, and we need to be recognizing that and using that. Okay, let's go to Becky.
Okay. Yeah. First, I'm trying. I have a very vivid imagination, so I've been seeing the pink elephant. I'm like, okay. The question which I've had for a while, the tones to synchronize our breathing, is the purpose of that so that we're ending up having a shared experience, or is it to get us in a common energetic state, like calming down or energy? I'm just curious what it's supposed to contribute to the gathering.
That plus, I don't know. I was told to do that. Okay, I did it. We are doing it. I if as things come through me, I stick it in the outline. As things come through others, and they say, "Why don't you do?" I say, "Okay," and then we do that. So this is a holonic document. We're building this as we're going along. The meditation, when we started out early, the meditation was about 5 minutes, and Angie said, "Well, we could do longer." Okay, let's try 8. Now let's try 10. Like I'm, let's see how this goes. Okay. Oh,
Yeah,
Angie, I see that you're, so if you can cut your sound back off, because I'm hearing me. So Becky.
yeah, part of the reason why I was asking is because when I start to try to keep pace, I realize, ooh, that's way too fast for me. So usually by the third breath, I'm doing it twice as slow. And even that is still faster than my normal breathing. So by the end, I feel like a fireball, like I'm just loaded up with energy. Like if I kept trying to do it at the actual pace, I'm feeling like, wow, I'd have to get up and run around to like discharge it because it's just too too intense. So I figured everybody else isn't having that experience, but I was just kind of curious, how off my experience is from what the intended experience was supposed to be.
I have heard from people who said it was way too slow,
Wow.
way too slow. That they weren't getting enough oxygen. They were, and I say, do what you need to do to take care of you. Common experiences, I think, is really important. Um, I think that for those of us who need to modify that some, you do what you need to do, and I think that the one person who was saying it's way too fast has adjusted. He's in it right now. Perhaps you will adjust. He's in it close to every day. Okay, so I don't know whether that um, um, your fast slow time frame would change if you were doing it more regularly. Um, and Okay, let me get to Angie, who's muted. Now she's unmuted again.
Um, I just wanted to comment on the breathing. My understanding of part of the function of what the breathing does for us is that when you synchronize the breathing, and it doesn't have to be exact for it to work, but when you synchronize the breathing, that tends to synchronize the heartbeats, and that brings everybody into a synchronized state, and that it kind of starts with the breathing. And I don't know if anybody's ever done Sufi dancing, but it's very much a shared. It becomes a trance-like mystical kind of experience because everyone's breathing together. They have a chant, so you're breathing together, saying the chant. You're saying sacred words. And you're moving in time to the live music, and that all of this together, synchronizes everybody and puts everybody into some level of, mystical experience, and they have Sufi dancing here in town, which I occasionally float through, but, it's like a variety of human murmuration because of all those things, and that it starts with the breathing, that's kind of like the first way we can get deeper in touch with each other. And
Every time I see that, first thought is, I want to be in that room. I don't have to be on the main floor. I can be looking from the balcony. I just want to be in the room. Second is I need a hairdo like that. I need to be able to, or a beard. I need to flop around. Okay. Okay. Third, um, my thought is, where are the women and what are they doing? Okay. Um, Now I've got video. Oh, that is a very, very wealthy mosque. That's like one of the bigger ones on earth. Okay. Very well endowed. Um, but I've got video of the not so well endowed ones that have actually more energy than that room had. And they have a ceremony that the women are doing. The men are not allowed in that room. and they're doing a similar kind of ceremony. And I'd like to find out how powerful that is for them. But it was interesting. Well, it's interesting that um their men, and it may be their husbands or their sons or somebody, drove them to this location in Chechnya and and sit outside while they're doing whatever they're doing in that room, and be interesting to find out what happens when you bring the two rooms together. And I don't know if they ever do that. So, and you may have other questions or comments or thoughts that you may uh, you may have. Okay. Um, any other thoughts or questions? Teresa, yeah.
I'm currently reading a book by this woman, Hirsi Ali, and she was born and raised in Somalia and then Kenya, and then immigrated to Europe. And um, what it makes me think of when I see this going on is, one, yes, it looks like it would be amazing to be in that room and doing exactly what they're doing. And two, that the negative consequences of it is that it will reinforce any negative conditioning going on in the Muslim world. You know, you've got everybody, all these men together doing and yeah, it feels ecstatic, but if they have thoughts about the world and women that they now all subscribe to as one, it can have negative consequences as well as positive consequences. And this bothers me. You know, Am- do you think I'm on the right track with that thought?
Yes, let's get a little bit more subtle though. Um, my first thought when I saw that is, what would happen if you had men and women in the same room? And the second thought was, the energies are really different. Yin energy is really, really different. And I've been in healthy yin energy before. I've been in healthy yang energy before. And what I would like to find out is the what happens when you've got a healthy expression of yang and a healthy expression of yin, and then you bring them together. Um, I was doing this in here in Oregon, um, at Opal Creek, which has burned down. That fire that burned things some years ago is really bad. Um, but so Opal Creek was this old mining community, and so they had this brand new lodge, and then they had a bunch of the old mining houses, and um, I'm with a bunch of Native Americans, and um, the group very organically divided into men and women, and it was not nobody was saying, "Well, the men are going to be over here and the women are going to be over there." Um, Women had started cooking in one of the houses, in one of the mining camp houses, and the men were talking and drumming, and the women in the for some reason I went over to the women's house. Me and there's like maybe a couple of guys that went to the women's house, and they were singing and baking bread and literally dancing around this table while they were singing and while they were baking bread. Um, most of the women were native, were keepers, but some of the women were white, and there's a couple of guys there. And as they were, I mean, and the energy, their energy became more coherent. I mean, like they really got into the baking of the bread. They were really getting into singing the songs. They were really getting into moving in a counterclockwise circle around this table. I mean, this was really heavy duty energy. Um, one of the guys had a wolf, and the wolf was a female. And wolves are not dogs. Goodness, I mean, every time that Tala walked in the room, I all the hair on my body stood up, and I was like, we're okay, right? And she knew she was going to be in that room with all the other she's, okay? And um so me and these other guys are on the periphery, and we're just experiencing this. And one of the women came over and said to me, she says, "You're getting quite a bath right now, aren't you?" And I said, and it was a great bath. Okay. Now, um, I think that we can have the energy of supporting all of the energy that was there, okay, as long as you don't make the energy exclusive. Is that okay? So it gets weird when they say you can't be in the room. Where some if one of the women said, "Sharif, you have to get out," okay, that's the thing that makes it weird on either side. So one more story, and this is out of China, and this is where the supporting element of supporting the not the toxic energy. So in Islam, women are supposed to be able to go to the mosque and when for the prayers, but a lot of the mosques don't let the women in. And the argument is, well, it's just too small here, and you can pray at home while you're fixing lunch. And the women um, in a certain region of China said, "We want to pray," and the men said, "Well, too bad." And the women got together and built their own mosque. And this is a woman created mosque. And then the men said, well, if you have your own mosque, a man has to lead that. So we have to come in there and they said, oh no, you don't. You don't want to make a space for us. We make a space for ourselves, and you say you've got to lead. And so there are these women created, women run, women led mosques. Now, I think that is imbalanced on the other side. But these two forces now will figure out the right thing to do. Okay. Um, and
Wait, how can they figure it out when their beliefs are being amplified during these sessions that for the men, let's say, let's say the toxic beliefs of the religion, they get together, they have this unifying experience, then isn't that going to amplify all of their also negative beliefs?
It could. I mean, no, I'm sorry. It could, and it does. I don't think the answer is women run mosques. Now they're doing that in China because the Chinese government doesn't give a rip one way or another. Uh, what would happen to a woman in Afghanistan? What would the Taliban do if women tried? They would kill them.
Yes.
You know, real simple, and that's the end of that. You get rid of a nuisance. Um, and so, yeah, so now on the other side, and Angie, I see your hand up there. Um, on the other side, there are lots and lots of experiments on how you bring um, divine yin and divine yang together in a coherent whole. Lots of non-sexist Islamic how do we do this together? Okay. A lot of this is happening in Indonesia, a lot of this is happening in Malaysia, and it doesn't get reported. And the reason it doesn't get reported is that conflict gets reported, cooperation does not. Um, and I know folks who are working on that, like right here, right now in the Portland, Oregon area. And Angie, see your hand up.
Well, for me, this is part of the bigger issue of, part of the chrysalis caterpillar butterfly transition is redefining the gender roles in society, all societies across the board. And some of the societies they're very, very rigid, such as, and I have to say, not pointing any fingers, the Muslim societies tend to be very rigidly separatist, and very devoted to suppressing the women, not that not that our culture isn't, but I mean it's even more so in some of the other cultures, and I just kind of see that we're all at one level or another working to move that forward, and that I think we will get to where we certainly can work together, and we certainly can be in meditative divine states together. I just think we're not quite there yet, and it's one of those things where it's kind of like, I guess I just sort of see it. Some things kind of have to change across the board, and then everything goes up, and things kind of go up and down, up and down, up and down, So we've pushed it forward pretty far in some places, and other places it's really rigidified. And I'm glad I don't live there. Thank you, God. I didn't have to live in those societies, Um, and I just got a phone call that I do have to take, so I'm gonna mute myself.
Okay. One of the things that so all that's true, and it's true across religions. Um, if you like name a religion that does not have exclusivity at its heart, I think by definition, religions have exclusivity at their heart. And and I've got to experience all of them all around the world, and I mean, like, for example, Buddhism, every time you look at a temple, you see dudes, um, lots and lots of dudes. And I had a friend, the friend that got me to go to Ladakh in the first place. Um, he was getting ordained as a Buddhist monk, and he's from Sri Lanka. And I'm like, you got monks all around here. I mean, you got you every like half a block there's another temple. Why didn't you get ordained here? And he said, well, the Buddhism in Ladakh is more yin. And I'm like, whoa. Yeah, in Islam, for some reason, I think of gender separation. I don't, it didn't register in Buddhism, mainly because the Buddha never called for it, but they're doing it now. They've had 2,500 years to get their shit together, so now they can keep those women out of there to keep their
Well,
whatever.
the cultural stuff sneaks in. I mean, of course, it's a human organization, so the human dysfunction sneaks in, and I think that's what I'm trying to say is that we're all in the process of trying to elevate that, and it's a long, hard struggle, and it's gonna, I mean, for how many millions of years have the women been the lower class, Many. So it's a
Well,
long,
I
hard
think that's
struggle, and it's gonna be longer than our lifetime, but we do what we can do.
number one, not longer than our lifetime necessarily. Number two, I'm betting it's only been 10,000 years. I think that what happened 10,000 years ago that got us where we are with keeper consciousness and breaker consciousness, I think that's the thing that we're trying to heal right now. But having been to Ladakh, I've been to um, uh, women-headed and women participating Buddhist temples. Okay. Um, I've been, I've met um, Buddhist prelates, the Buddhist head honchos in the temples who are women. I've been to temples where there are co-abbots, and the co-abbots are husband-wife teams. Um, and it feels really different. I mean, it feels really different. Um, I'm sorry, and much improved different. And I think that all of that, the shifting in, I mean, shifting in Christianity. I mean, how long did it take women to be able to say mass? You know, how long did it take women to actually to be in the room? Um, you remember, for those of us who watched Mary Magdalene, the movie together, um, um, there were certain days that they were allowed in the temple, where they were allowed in the synagogue. Um, and the men thought they were being magnanimous. So yes, on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, you can actually come and sit down here. Um, and um, as Angie said, we have been slowly getting to a point. Um, that point, um, I believe the intention, and Becky, I see you are unmuted here. Um, I believe that the intention of Jesus, from what I can read, especially going back and reading the books that were taken out of the Bible because they made positive references to Mary Magdalene, that he intended the church to be to have two heads, and one of them being Peter and the other one being Mary Magdalene. And what would have happened if they had let that happen back in year 34? And maybe after a few thousand years, we get to do that now. So, Becky.
Yeah, just thinking back on the Rupert Sheldrake experiment and how the participants were 5 cards ahead, made me wonder how come, since he conceived of the experiment, so he was kind of organizing it, why was he 5 cards behind?
Okay, number one, it wasn't Rupert's experiment. But whoever the teacher was, good question. Do you remember, since I just got my mailbox key, I can hold it, I can hold up a prop. Remember the key experiment? And I have to remember that this is going out to a video that other people don't know the key experiment. So, Matthew Manning wrote a book called The Link. He was very adept at moving things with his mind, okay? Moving physical objects. So they brought him to a laboratory in Canada, and they were going to find out what he can do. So they put a key in front of him, and they had cameras on him, cameras on the key. The room was electro shielded, just all the things they could control. And they put the key in front of him, and they said, "We want you, using your power, to affect the key, to bend the key." And he tried for half an hour. He could not bend that key. Now, every other key in the 6-story building in people's pockets bent in half. Every other key. They said that this town, and I forgot what town it was in Canada, but every locksmith was busy unbending keys. Every single key bent, but not that one key. So that experiment was a failure. Okay. Although the locksmiths made hundreds and hundreds of dollars that day unbending keys, so they had lots of proof that the keys bent. Something else, and I talked about that one, but this one, they gave Matthew Manning a pair of handcuffs. And they said, we know that it takes 2,000 pounds of pressure to bend these handcuffs. So we want you to use your power and bend the handcuffs. So he has to do his stuff kind of on the side. So he got the handcuffs, sat down, watched a TV show, not looking at the handcuffs. When the show finished, he looks at them and the handcuffs are bent into pretzels. They took the handcuffs and they gave it to a metallurgist because they can tell the stresses that were put on the metal. They can tell, what kind of, was it heat force? Was it blunt force? Was it only on one side? They can tell a lot by examining the metal. So they gave it to a metallurgist and said, tell us about this. And they said, we can tell you that no force was applied to these handcuffs. None. They said the handcuffs were made like this. Now, everybody could see that the handcuffs are not made like that. But whatever this force is not, whatever the latent powers are, it's not something that registers with scientific type stuff. You can't measure it that way. And you can't say it's not happening because you can't measure it. Other than that, it's not confusing at all for me.